Hi guys, and welcome back to Inside Number 23, my channel which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie and you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media as Miss Lavelli, although I'm most active on Instagram. And in particular at the moment I've been getting very into Instagram stories, so if you like Instagram stories you might want to check mine out because I've been getting a lot of uploads on there. If you're looking for show notes for the podcast, you will find them in the down bar down below. And if you want to get in touch with me regarding anything to do with the podcast, the best way to do that is to drop me an email, which is to katie@insidenumber23.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, a lot of you are going to realise that this is not a regular episode. This is not, in fact, an episode of Inside Number 23 at all. Oh no. It's a mini-sode, I guess you would call it, a little half episode. A little disclaimer to anybody who is new to the podcast. First of all, thank you so much for checking in. It's lovely for you to come and spend a little bit of time with me this week. But in general, I use this podcast as a place to share what I've been working on in terms of my knitting and my sewing and my journey towards a completely handmade wardrobe. But things are going to be a little bit different this week, so just bear that in mind. If you want to see what my regular kind of thing is, you may want to check out one of my earlier episodes, and I will leave the playlist of all of my episodes in the links down below. This is episode 66 and a half, and the reasoning behind that is it was my brother's wedding yesterday and we're all a little bit worse for wear, I would say, a little bit exhausted. A lot of work went into the wedding. It was a beautiful day, a wonderful time was had by all, but I was just not in a position to put out a full episode of Inside Number 23 this week. However, rather than completely missing this week, I decided to put together a little mini-sode, in particular focusing on, of course, the pièce de résistance of this particular moment, which is my dress that I made for said wedding. I know that a lot of you were very excited to see it finished, so I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you at the very least this week. In addition to that, I have one little stash enhancement that I will be sharing at the end of this mini-sode. But first and foremost, as this episode is named, all about the dress. Let's get on with talking about the dress, shall we? So yeah, for the last several weeks I have been working on this dress for my brother's wedding. Those of you who've watched before will know all about it. It is a pattern by Gertie, Gretchen Hirsch in collaboration with Butterick, and I finished it in time for the wedding. Woo! It was a little bit touch and go, I'm not gonna lie. I was doing a little bit of hand sewing on the morning, yesterday morning before the wedding. I don't know why I thought that that was all right to leave the last bit of hand sewing until the last second, but yeah, it was a success. It was finished and I was very happy with the result. Before I get into the ins and outs and details of construction and all of that jazz, I actually did film a little bit of footage yesterday at the wedding. So I'm going to, through the magic of editing, hand you over to both myself and Emrys at the wedding. The other cheeky thing that I managed to get finished in time for the big day was a matching tie for Emrys, which he looked incredibly fetching in. It was just a really lovely thing to be able to do for him. I was super happy to be able to do that. So you will see his tie as well. So yeah, guys, here is me and Emrys yesterday, all glammed up in our finest. Enjoy.
Hi!
Hello!
So, what's special about your tie?
It matches your dress.
What do you think of it?
I really like it. Even if it wasn't matching, I think it's really nice.
Let's go in for the close-up. Da-na-na-na. Pew! We've been at the wedding today, and I am wearing the dress. I'm going to give the camera to Emrys in a bit so I can show you exactly how it looks. But isn't this pretty? We've had incredible weather all day. It was a little bit warm, but it's a little bit cooler now. We've just had ice creams from a little ice cream van. It was really sweet. And yeah, the dress is done. I'm kind of covering this when I show you because the wrong angle, you can see super amounts of under boob. But I'm really happy with how it looks. So let me pass the camera over to Emrys and he can show it to you properly. Here's the dress. Should I do a turn?
Mhm.
So I'm very happy with it. And although it's hot, it's still comfortable. Cheese. I feel very fancy. And yeah, I'm really happy. Here we are together. Matching tie and dress. I think it was a success. Don't you?
Lots of people have commented on it in a nice way.
So yeah, matchy matchy clearly works for us.
Yes,
And you like your tie.
I do.
I'm so happy. You want more ties now, don't you?
Make me the ties.
Make me all the ties. My arm's not long enough, but yay, wedding day!
Yay.
Not our wedding day, my brother's wedding day.
Brother's wedding day.
Thumbs up.
I think I look a little bit different today than I did yesterday. A little bit more kind of bags under the eyes, a little bit less hair, a little bit fewer eyelashes going on today. But yes, that is kind of the full view, as it were, of my outfit and Emrys's tie. I was very happy with them. We got some really lovely compliments on our outfits and it was just really great. But anyway, I'm going to talk about a couple of details about the pattern specifically. Here it is. Here is my beautiful, beautiful dress. It's no worse for wear from being worn all day yesterday, and I am just as in love with it now as I was when I was wearing it. It's a really, really great pattern, and as you can see, it just came together really, really lovely. For those of you who don't know, this fabric is by Cotton and Steel. It's one of their Rifle Paper Company collaborations. In addition to that, it is also fully lined. So this fabric is a kind of cotton silk blend, this lovely dusky pink fabric, and it's fully lined through the entirety of the dress. So both the bodice and the skirt are lined. One of the things that I needed to do between last week's episode and this week is insert the invisible zip, which is in here, and it's pretty invisible. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And one of the things that I am very happy with is how my seams are really matching nicely. Things like that, seam matching at junctures like a zip, really, really matters a lot to me. So there were quite a few little seams to match, but they all match really, really well, and I'm very happy with them. Also, in terms of the hemming of the dress, I hemmed the skirt, the main fabric of the skirt, by hand. If you can see here, there's lots of little herringbone stitches. The thread is not quite showing against the fabric, but that was hemmed by hand. But in terms of the lining, I just used a sewing machine stitch for that, because it's just a lining. It doesn't matter as much. In terms of seam finishing, I actually didn't finish any of the seams inside this dress because it's lined. You're never going to be able to see those, because if I can just give you a view again to the inside, everything is fully enclosed with this lining fabric, which is actually quite nice because seam finishing can take quite a while. In terms of the hand stitching, in addition to the hem, I also needed to completely sew down the lining of the fabric, the lining of the dress. So I hand stitched it along the insides of the zip. So all the way down and up on both sides of the zip have been sewn by hand. And I also slip stitched the bodice down onto the skirt once I'd finished construction with that. Some other little bits of hand stitching that I did was obviously understitching on the neckline of the dress and around the armholes. I believe this is something that I've talked about before, but I actually re-sewed the armhole understitching of this dress. And the reason that I did that was basically, for those of you who may not know, understitching is to make sure that the lining stays on the inside of a dress that is lined, because if you've spent hours and hours of work on a dress, to have the lining kind of peeking out can look a little bit distracting. So it's just to ensure that the lining stays where it's supposed to be on the inside. However, when I was trying on this dress in the kind of last stages of fitting, what I realised I had done was I had left the lining exactly the same size as the dress, and therefore when you understitch it, what can happen is that the seams can start rolling. So these edges of the shoulders were not sitting flush on my shoulders. They were kind of doing this. They were rolling up, so the lining was staying inside, but the actual whole fabric was kind of curving this way. So in order to prevent that from happening, a lot of the time what you can do is cut your lining pieces slightly smaller than the actual bodice proper, because then when you do the understitching, it just tucks everything nicely in and there's no excess fabric. Because I hadn't done that, I undid the stitching around my armholes. I adjusted the lining fabric, so basically I drew it all towards the armholes and re-stitched it. So some of it is slightly folded. If you can see along here how it's kind of double layer. And that was just to gather up any of that excess fabric that was causing that slightly odd laying of the fabric around the shoulders. And yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive, I'm not going to lie, about this, about my little peephole in this dress. This peephole was a matter of contention for a lot of people. I have had some less than savoury interest in the peephole in this dress, shall we say. It wasn't something that affected me particularly, but I was a little bit concerned. People were thinking that it wouldn't be flattering, that it was perhaps disrespectful to wear something like this at someone else's wedding. So I must admit I was a little bit nervous. I think I let those comments get to me a little bit. However, it's actually probably my favourite feature of this dress. I think it's very flattering, surprisingly enough. I must say, at certain views, as you will see in the video that I made of wearing this dress, if you're right under my bust and kind of looking in sideways, you could see a little bit of underboob. But why anybody would be right close to my chest looking into and under my dress unless it was myself holding a camera, I don't know why you would do that. So there was really nothing to worry about on that respect. I also had a little bit of extra padding around the bust. In the dress, I've actually removed it now, but I had a couple of little bust cups just to make sure that everything stayed where it was supposed to, so nothing kind of flopped out. But when I was trying this dress on, I tried it both with and without the bra cups in it, and it made no difference. My boobs stayed exactly where they were supposed to, regardless of whether or not they were padded. So again, it's not really something that you have to worry about. The only thing that I would say about this pattern in terms of a negative thing, because as you can tell, I'm a big fan of it. I love this dress. I'm really excited to be able to wear it to another wedding later this year, is I kind of forgot how Butterick is in terms of the huge amount of positive ease that they put into their patterns. With Butterick, they usually divide their patterns into two different kinds. So you have all of the smaller sizes and then all of the larger sizes. And for this pattern, I actually opted for the larger sizes pattern, which I believe is from size 16 upwards. And that was because my hips are quite wide, and therefore if I go for smaller patterns, a lot of the time they can't accommodate my hips. So if I'm going to go for one or the other, I'll go for the larger one. However, the amount of fabric that I had to chop out of this dress when fitting the skirt and the bodice was kind of ridiculous. I think that when it comes to a vintage look, you really need to make sure that it's incredibly figure hugging, particularly something that's built like this with a little peephole in the front. If I'd had all of that extra positive ease, it would have just looked ridiculous. So it's definitely something to bear in mind if you are thinking of purchasing one of Gretchen Hirsch's patterns with Butterick, if you fall kind of between the sizing like I do. If you are right dead between, I would go for the smaller group of sizes, because the likelihood is you're probably going to have to take a lot of ease out of the larger patterns. So therefore the high end of the smaller set of patterns will probably work fine, which is definitely what I'm going to do if I buy more of those patterns in the future, which I think I will, because this dress made me feel amazing, so yay. The other little project, obviously, that featured in the video was Emrys's tie, which I did get the chance to make. It's looking a little bit worse for wear because it is cotton and he was wearing it all day, so it's a little bit crunchy and creased. I need to give it a good press before we put it away. But yes, this tie pattern is actually a free downloadable pattern by Pearl Soho. It's the first free Pearl Soho pattern that I've used, but it was so simple. It took me an afternoon to make this, including all of the hand stitching, because basically the idea is that you sew all of your pattern pieces together by machine, but when you fold them in on each other, because basically they're about double the width of this, and you kind of fold them over, press them, and then you have this little seam down the center here, and you stitch that by hand. And it's just lovely. To be honest, I think that this was the extra touch that really tickled a lot of people at the wedding when they noticed my dress. Obviously it's a bit of a showstopper, so I think they appreciated it, but when they saw Emrys sitting wearing the matching tie, everyone just commented on how lovely it was. I think this is a great project if you have members of your family that like to wear ties and you have a little bit of extra fabric, be it, you know, silk, so more luxurious, or something fun like this cotton. I just think it's a lovely thing to do. I know that if I make any more kind of fancy dresses, I'm going to be pretty sure to be making Emrys a matching tie, because he loved it, and I just really enjoyed making it for him. It was no effort whatsoever. Before I move on to my little stash enhancement to share with you at the end of this mini-sode, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who has been so kind on all of the Instagram posts about this dress. As I kind of hinted at when I was describing the style of the dress and the shape of the dress and the little peephole cut out in the front of the dress, I have received not a huge amount, but some negative comments and people feeling that they need to express their thoughts on both the dress and my body type via social media and messaging, and to have so many amazing people kind of show love for this project and how it looks has meant a lot to me. As I've kind of said previously, without getting into a huge amount of detail, I'm not the most confident person in my own body. My body has changed considerably over the past, you know, decade or so, and I feel like I'm constantly going through a process of accepting my body the way it is and not punishing myself for not being the person that I was, you know, in my early 20s. And to have so many people kind of acknowledging that and showing their support and showing their love and just sending me so much positivity has meant the absolute world. So thank you so much. And if this whole kind of dressmaking journey for this particular dress has taught me anything, it's just love yourself as much as you possibly can and make beautiful things for your body, because your body you know, it carries us around, it does so much hard work, and it deserves to look awesome. And if you feel great, then it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. So yeah. And before I go, stash enhancement time. I wanted to sneak this in at the end of this mini-sode just because I am definitely going to be caking up this yarn later, and I wanted to show it to you in the skeins while I still have the chance. And it's an incredibly exciting parcel that arrived this week from a very, very dear friend of mine. You may or may not have heard of her, Kristen of Wool and Vine Yarns. I know, are you losing it? Because I'm losing it a little bit. Kristen reached out to me because she has recently created a brand new shawl pattern called the Oracle. If you've seen it on Instagram, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is gorgeous. It is a huge pie shawl which combines brioche stitch and lace, and this girl, this lucky lady right here, is going to be test knitting, and I am so excited because not only am I excited to do anything with Kristen because she is such a super, super talented, beautiful, wonderful person, and I'm totally enamored of her, but she has sent me some of her yarn in order to test knit it, and it's a 3-colour shawl, although I believe that you can basically adapt it to work with as many or as few colours as you would like. But I picked 3 of Kristen's colours and I am obsessed with them. Look at this awesomeness. I am so excited. I love these colours. I mean, you can see they would go with my outfit right now. They kind of make me feel a little bit goth, which is perfect for Kristen because she brings out my inner goth, and I basically just want to be her. But these 3 colours are on her Nouveau base, which is her singles base, 100% superwash merino singles. And let me just talk you through the colours. The first one is Enjoy the Silence. This gorgeous speckled loveliness. It has kind of mauves and pinks and greens and little peachy orange, golden colours. It is stunning, and oh, I think it's going to pair beautifully with the darker colour in the brioche. How gorgeous is that going to be? But yeah, talking of the darker colour, this is Grim, which is basically Kristen's slightly variegated black. And I love it. I think it's gorgeous. It's very rare that I actually knit anything in black, so this is a real treat for me to have something kind of dark and intense. And my middle tone colour is Fairy Hair, which is this beautiful mauvey pinky purple. Again, it has little kind of splashes of peach, and I just think it's gorgeous. So these 3 colours are most definitely getting caked up and cast on as soon as possible because I need to be a good test knitter and focus on this project. So you guys will be seeing a lot of this shawl most likely in the weeks to come. And just thank you so much, Kristen, for sending me your beautiful yarn, and I cannot wait to work on this pie shawl. I can't wait. That's what I'm going to be doing once I finish editing and uploading this mini-sode for you guys. But yay! Wool and Vine Yarns! If you haven't heard of Kristen, where have you been? You must have been living under a rock. But she is an incredibly dear friend and just an all-round amazing woman. So check out her website, buy her yarn, love her as much as I love her. So there you have it, guys, kind of a little mini-sode to get you through. I'm sorry it's not a full episode for you, but I'll be back with another one of those next week. So much has been going on that I want to share with you properly. I've been doing a lot more decorating. I got a brand new computer this week. It's beautiful. I'm going to be doing all of my editing on it from now onwards, and I'm completely and utterly in love with it. And yeah, I am full of inspiration and wanting to crack on with some new projects now that the wedding is done, and I have, it feels like free time because I don't have any specific project other than the Oracle test knit that I'm doing. So I'm excited for what's going to come in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for this week. I'm sending you all my love as always. Happy sewing, happy knitting, and I'll see you next week for a proper big full episode. Bye! This is new lipstick. I'm trying to work out if it makes me look intense and mysterious, or whether it just looks like I've been eating too many jam sandwiches.